Watch this. Using only my fingers, I can get a little bit of spin. Now, if I accelerate my fingers, the spin becomes much heavier. Now for something completely new. See how much higher the ball flies? The power feels much greater. Alright, today let's go over the key points of generating spin, and how to improve the stability of your forehand loop. A lot of amateur players are able to loop, but their loops often lack spin, making it hard for them to win points with it. So when your opponent easily blocks your weak loop, you tend to just hit harder, trying to force an error because you're worried about the rally continuing. Therefore, our focus shouldn't just be on getting the ball on the table. The real goal is to maximize the spin on your loops. That's the key. You must make practicing spin generation your top priority. Let me ask you, have you been practicing the ball rolling drill? If you don't practice this drill, it's very hard to grip the ball properly and develop the right feel for spin. The ball rolling drill is a crucial test of your ability to properly generate friction on the ball. Let's talk about why so many players struggle to create enough spin. First problem, during your backswing, the racket head must point down. As you make contact, the racket head should remain naturally relaxed and angled downward. Only by staying relaxed can you effectively create friction. I want you to record your stroke with your phone and analyze your racket face from the backswing to the exact moment of contact. Racket head pointing down is excellent. Pointing to the side is passable. Pointing up is incorrect. At best, 80% of amateur players are in that passable category. If you tighten your grip too early in the swing, your hand becomes stiff, making it impossible to keep the racket head down. A stiff hand will, at best, only allow the racket head to point sideways, which turns your stroke into a push and makes it impossible to generate friction. You must stay relaxed during the backswing and only apply force at the moment of impact. This allows your wrist to be free enough to generate maximum spin. If your hand is stiff, your racket head at contact will inevitably be pointing to the side or angled upwards. This is the core reason why many players can't generate spin, and why their loops lack threat. That's the first key point. Second point, are you contacting the ball directly from behind, or slightly from the side? If you try to contact the ball squarely from the back, your stroke becomes a push. Hitting the ball from directly behind is always a pushing motion. To truly loop the ball, you must wrap around it. This means contacting it slightly on its right side, for a right-hander. As your hip rotation brings your arm forward, the racket face will naturally close slightly. Let your body rotation naturally guide your arm to the contact point, and your arm will naturally move inward. So, players who habitually hit from directly behind the ball will find it extremely difficult to generate proper spin. Against topspin it's less critical, but against backspin, if you want to create an outer arc and that deceptive kick after the second bounce, you must use this wrapping motion. Looping down the line is an exception. For that, you need to open the racket face and drive more forward. But right now we're talking about the standard cross-court loop. Why do you keep misbrushing the ball? It's because when you hit from behind, the ball immediately leaves the racket. You are simply pushing it forward. You must use this angled approach to be able to wrap around the ball. Then, by adding the power from your forearm and upper arm, you can truly grip the ball and generate massive spin. A rolling ball is even harder to loop than a backspin ball because it has no forward momentum. You have to create the entire arc yourself. Another reason for poor spin is an incorrect forearm path. Some players pull their forearm back horizontally, while others lift the racket up too early as the ball approaches. Your forearm must drop down right before contact. I've noticed a common trait in players with poor spin: they often just pull their arm back horizontally from the elbow. Or, they drop the racket for the backswing, but then lift it up again before moving forward into the ball. It looks like they prepared with a low backswing, but as the ball arrives, the racket comes up too soon. That's why they can't generate spin. You think you're prepared low, but in reality, you lift the racket as you anticipate the ball, turning your spin motion into a forward, horizontal push. Remember, I'm talking about looping backspin. Against topspin, you can get away with hitting the ball flat. Using your elbow as the fulcrum, contact the ball with an upward motion from below. Seriously, try this. I taught this to my students today and the results were immediate. Your forearm's path must be primarily downward in preparation. A backward path will cause you to hit the net. It must be downward. Whether it's a high, spinny loop or a powerful drive loop, the forearm preparation is always downward to properly brush the ball. Don't close your arm prematurely. Get ready, then contact the ball. That's the sequence. If you still can't lift the ball this way, try this. Don't take a backswing. Instead, let your forearm drop so the racket head points down, and then loop directly from there. You'll find it surprisingly easy. If you can loop without a backswing but fail with one, it proves that your arm position during the swing is incorrect at the moment of contact. Third issue, the grip. I noticed one player has a gap between the thenar eminence, the fleshy part of the palm at the base of the thumb, and the racket handle. Check your own grip for this. This part of your palm must be snug against the handle. There should be no gap between your thenar and the handle. It must be pressed firmly against it. He holds it like this, with the palm not making contact here. What does it mean to grip the racket at impact? It's not about a death grip. It's the sudden tightening of your fingers from a relaxed state, right at contact. When you grab something, you squeeze inward, right? That's the feeling of gripping the racket. This gripping action involves your thenar, your last three fingers, and the web of your hand all squeezing inward together as you strike the ball. Just using your fingers isn't enough. You have to actively pinch inward with your whole hand. That's a proper grip. Let me ask you, which of these grip styles, 1, 2, or 3, do you use? The thenar eminence is this area right here. If you're using grip number 3, you need to correct it immediately. With grip number 3, the thenar eminence faces forward instead of against the handle, leaving this big gap here. With that gap, when you try to apply power, especially on a cross-court loop, you can't secure the racket face. First, if you hold the racket with a flat thumb like this, you're wasting all the power and control your thumb can provide for both forehand and backhand. Your thumb must be positioned diagonally up on the handle. With this grip, you'll feel much more power when you tighten your grip on your forehand. While there's no single, perfect grip, a fundamentally sound grip allows you to engage every finger. The reason I'm stressing this is because I saw a player whose racket was extremely unstable and wobbly at the point of contact. Others can't control their power. They can hit softly, but the moment they try to hit hard, the racket becomes unstable and they lose control. So, while you shouldn't have a death grip, if you can't secure the racket face upon impact, your shots will frequently go long. On your grip, make sure your thenar eminence is flush against the handle. The thumb must be angled upwards. This allows your thumb and index finger to work together properly. If your thumb is out to the side, your palm can't stay connected to the handle. You'll feel like you can't generate power, and after hitting hard, you'll notice your racket face is unstable because you can't secure it properly. The ping pong ball is incredibly light. You're applying immense force, so even the slightest wobble in your racket face will send the ball flying off target. So, everyone, you must secure your racket. This is an absolutely critical point. Many unforced errors are caused by this racket instability. The reason you can't control your power is that your racket face is moving slightly at the moment of impact. Now, let's discuss another key aspect of generating spin. I'll explain the principle. Watch this. Using only my fingers, I can get a little bit of spin. Now, if I accelerate my fingers, the spin becomes much heavier. Now for something completely new. See how much higher the ball flies? The power feels much greater. Let me ask you, after your fingers fire, do you feel your wrist actively working? You probably don't, right? The secret is this: first, your fingers provide the initial force, and then your wrist breaks or snaps to lock in the power and spin. Try it. Lead with your fingers, then actively use your wrist. But it's crucial that you don't tense your wrist first. The sequence must be fingers, then wrist. Doesn't that feel like it creates a lot more spin? After mastering that finger-to-wrist action, add an explosive forearm snap. Look at that, heavy spin and powerful drive. You absolutely have to go practice this. To summarize the feeling, your fingers initiate the contact, and immediately after, your wrist snaps and grips firmly. This creates so much spin. Let me loop a couple at you so you can feel it. Yes, watch again. Snap. Seriously, this will dramatically improve your spin. Previously, you were only using your fingers, so the wrist wasn't adding that second boost of power or locking in the speed. The acceleration just stopped. When you do it this new way, you get a two-stage acceleration. It's an amazing feeling, you have to try it. But remember, don't tense the wrist first, or it just becomes one slow, even motion. It has to be fingers first, then a sharp, stopping action from the wrist. The wrist snaps to a stop, and that stopping action is the cue for your forearm to accelerate through the ball. Think of it this way, the finger-wrist snap focuses all the energy from your hand into one explosive moment. Once that part of the job is done, the forearm takes over. Let me show you with multi-ball. Phase 1 is the hand action. Add the forearm, and it looks like this. The hand's work is finished, then the forearm fires. There's one more key point, this time for power loops. How am I able to execute them consistently? I have a method for amateurs. Isn't it true that when you try to hit with full power, you lose consistency? Using the same principles, at the end of your powerful stroke, you must brace and stabilize with your elbow. Look, if I don't brace my elbow, my whole arm is unstable, and the power dissipates. When your fingers push and your wrist snaps, the resulting inertial friction generates the highest possible spin rate. When you want to add power, you must brace your elbow. Use it to stabilize the entire structure. Watch. Brace. You must brace it. If you don't brace it, your racket will wobble, and your whole arm structure will be unstable. Try this without a ball. Swing and brace your elbow. How does your arm feel? It's solid, right? Now try it without bracing the elbow. Just swing your arm. Do you feel how disconnected and loose it is? Everyone watching, try this too. Swing without focusing on your elbow. Don't you feel how scattered your arm is? But when you engage your elbow, it instantly stabilizes the entire motion, making it a solid, unified unit. This applies to topspin rallies as well. If your elbow isn't braced, when you try to hit hard, your swing becomes wild and unpredictable. But when you hit hard and control the ball, you'll see my elbow is always braced and stable. I'm not saying you'll make every shot, but your consistency will be much higher than if you ignore your elbow. So, to recap, for spin, focus on the wrist action. For overall power, focus on bracing your elbow. Once you brace it, your arm becomes a solid unit, it won't fall apart or wobble. If you can't brace it, it will wobble, and your shot becomes unpredictable. No matter what your stroke looks like, even if your technique isn't perfect, bracing the elbow will add stability. By applying this method, you will reduce your errors significantly. This isn't textbook theory, these are my personal observations from my recent coaching sessions. If you want more power, brace your elbow. If you want more spin, transfer the energy from your fingers to your wrist, finishing with a sharp wrist snap. Master these two things, keep your body stable, and you'll be able to hit powerful loops consistently.